So these filaments, sheath filaments, they try to move across the core filaments, which are more or less straight. In the process, what happened? These loose filaments, they try to form loops on the surface of the yarn. So overall, the structure is held by core filaments, which are more or less straight, and through that, the sheath filaments are crisscrossing. In the process, you will get the loop structure. The number of loops air entangled thread size much lower than what you see in the air-jet texturing. In the air-jet texturing, we give you overfeed of 15 to 30%. There are some cases even we give 40% overfeed. That means if the output is 100 meters per minute, we may give even up to 130 meters per minute. So large number of free length is available in the case of air-jet texturing. So you will get a very bulky product. So many surface loops. In this case, we give less amount of overfeed. So the yarn will have some bulk, but is not very high like air-jet textured yarns, because the overfeed we give to the sheath filaments are much lower. So the main purpose is you want to have a good strength. At the same time, you want to have some surface loops. So the surface loops, what happens while sewing, they give a gliding effect and reduce the friction between the thread and the sewing needles as well as the machine parts. And when you go to the sewn product, after stitching, what happens? There is a contact between the thread and the fabric yarns like warp and weft. And since this thread has some loops, so the inter yarn to thread friction is higher. So the thread will have better seam security. So the single yarn will have a set of core filaments, and it is crisscrossed by the loose sheath filaments, which appears in the form of loops. And this is a single yarn. Okay, so you can take 2-3 single yarns, then you twist it, and that is basically called plying. And if you want, you can dye it. And if you want apply lubricant, you can apply lubricant. That depends on the applications. Here twisting means they are plied, okay, to such air entangled yarns. They are plied. And these air entangled threads have high initial modulus than the air-jet textured threads, because there is a large number of filaments which are more or less straight. So they take a lot of load, and that's why they have high initial modulus. And because of they have high initial modulus, they have high bending rigidity. The bending rigidity is going to help to form better loop. So you see the bending rigidity of any material is related to two things. One is the elastic modulus or initial modulus E multiplied by the area moment of inertia. So the bending rigidity is equal to the area moment of inertia multiplied by the elastic modulus or initial modulus. Okay. So if the material is having high diameter, then the area moment of inertia will be more. What is area moment of inertia for a circle or cylinder? It is pi d power 4 by 64. D is the diameter of the material, and E is the elastic modulus of the material. So E and I is going to define your bending rigidity. When the bending rigidity is more, if you try to bend the thread, it forms always larger diameter of curvature. So while sewing, what happened? You are using two set of threads. Let me go back to the some pictures are there. So here you can see on the top you have the chain stitch, This is the chain stitch, and on the bottom you can see the lock stitch. In the case of chain stitch, you see a thread, after entering, it forms a loop, then it comes out. The same thread in the next cycle of stitching, it enters with the help of the needle, and it has to form a big loop. Then only the stitch, previous stitch and the new stitch both are entangled, or you can say interlaced. So once the thread comes bottom, it has to bend to a large radius of curvature. Then only it will be able to interlace with the previous stitch. Okay, so everywhere for every sewing threads you need to have a good amount of bending rigidity, so that the loop will be a bigger in size. If it is not there, what happen? There is a problem of missing stitches. Even in the case of the lock stitch one, you see there are two set of threads. Green thread, this is called upper thread. The other name is needle thread. So upper thread or needle thread. Then when the when this comes here, the green thread, okay, it will be going down. It will go below the fabric, and they will be forming a big loop. Has to form big loop. Then the lower thread from bobbin has to go through the loop. If the loop is very small, what happens? Both the threads may not get interlaced, right? So the loop forming characteristics of any thread has to be good. They have to form a bigger loop. Otherwise, the interlacing or interlooping, here it is interlooping, will not be possible. So the sewing will come to standstill. That means called missed stitches. So loop forming characteristics are very important for any thread. So coming to here, you see they have a high initial modulus because large number of filaments, core filaments, they are almost straight, and they are binding the surface filaments, the sheath filaments. So that's why they have high the bending rigidity. Bending rigidity is E into I, okay, where E is the elastic modulus. So they try to form a bigger loop. So in the process, the interlooping, interlacing will continue without any hindrance. And since they are also not soft like spun polyester threads, the basic material is the staple fibers, and packing up the staple fibers is very difficult. So you always end up in having very high bulk. Because of the bulk, they are soft. The spun polyester threads are very soft. But here we don't have that much bulk. Some loops are there, but it is not as bulk as the spun polyester. Okay, and they are very expensive. Less expensive than the spun threads, because spun threads you have to start opening the staple fibers in the blow room card, then drafting, then finally ring spinning. So the number of process is very large and very lengthy process. So the cost is very high. In this case, what happened? The starting material is the filament yarns. Starting material is filament yarn. They get air entangled threads. So simply you pass the two set of filaments into the air nozzles, and they are able to make it. So it's a single step process. Starting material is the multi-filament yarns, and you're passing through the nozzle, and you get the entangled yarn. So the entangled yarn, you can play it, you make it an entangled thread. So the number of steps is only one step. For a filament yarn, you'll be able to convert directly to the air entangled yarns. Whereas in the case of spun yarn, there is a large number of process. So that's why the spun yarn threads are costlier, whereas air entangled threads are cheaper. And because they have high strength, because they're using high modulus filaments, they have very good strength. Because of that, the seam durability is very long. And because of the loop on the surface, they provide excellent security for all type of stitches like lock stitch, strain stitch, overage in garment. So now let me come back to the what is seam security. Imagine in the case of chain stitch, there is only one thread coming down and forming a loop. In that loop, next stitch thread is also forming. So it's a continuously interlooping. Imagine if there is a cut. If there is a cut, okay, somewhere here the thread is broken. Once a thread is broken anywhere along the stitches, it is easily it is very easy for the threads not to come out. That is called stitch undoing. Okay. If the thread is having some amount of loops, what happens? There will be more friction between the thread and the fabrics. Even if there is a cut, okay, it is able to withstand. The moment now, if it is for example, if it is a monofilament or the thread is not having any loops, okay, and what happens? The thread to thread friction will be very low. If the thread is very smooth, don't have any loops, if it is made from monofilament yarn, the thread to thread friction is very low. If there is a cut here, what happens? It easily just pull it out, all the threads, all the stitches will come out. So the chains is more unstable. The moment there is a cut, if the thread to thread friction is very low, thread to fabric friction is very low, the stitch easily come out. Whereas in the case of lock thread stitches, generally the seam security is higher because even if there is a cut is there, okay, and simply you can't pull it out because there is a total entanglement at every intersection. So generally what happens, the lock stitch threads are more secure. That means seam security is higher. Whereas in the case of chain stitch, seam security is not good. So especially with chain stitch and the thread is very smooth, if there is any cut, the entire stitch can come out easily. So this is called the seam security. Okay, when the thread is cut somewhere along the stitch line, the stitch can be easily pulled out. If it can be easily pulled out, then it is called extremely low seam security. If it is not possible to undo the seam or undo the stitch, then you call it is a better seam security. So these air entangled threads have better seam security because they have surface loops and they give better friction between the threads itself and also between the thread and the fabric yarns. So that's why I'm saying that with excellent seam durability and seam security. Durability is due to the strength of threads. Security is due to the loops on the thread. So they are used for all type of stitches, lock stitch, strain stitch, overage in garment and other finishing applications. The other thread is the monofilament thread. There is only one filament, okay, and mostly you see all the monofilament threads are nylon, and a very limited extent you find polyester thread, and they are translucent. Generally, they are not dyed. It easily blends with any color of the fabric. And because the monofilament, they are very stiff. If it is a multifilament, what happens? There is a freedom of movement between one filament to another filament. Okay, so at the time of bending, the filaments may interchange their position. In the case of multi-filament yarn, multi-filament threads. In the case of monofilament, it is the entire thread is a single unit. It's like a heavy cylinder. So they have very stiff, high stiffness because the degree of freedom is not there. That means degree of freedom means when you try to bend, the individual filaments try to relax their compressive and tensile stress. In this case, since they are only one filament and their diameter is very large and there is no area freedom, so you will get very high stiffness. And because of their very stiffness is maybe good for stitching, okay, because they give excellent loop forming characteristics. But because of the extremely high stiffness, they are not preferred for seaming clothes to be worn adjusted to the skin. So when you are wearing your pant, okay, at the hem line, you must have seen buckles, button, hooks, okay. So they're all has to be attached by sewing threads. If you use this nylon monofilament thread, what happens? If there is a cut or something, or even without a cut also, they will be projecting and they're very stiff. That will prick your skin. So generally, these nylon monofilament threads should not be used for apparels, especially for intimate apparels. Seam security is very poor because they don't have the surface loops, and they easily unravel if the thread breaks or is not locked adequately in the seam. So these are some pictures, I can go through it. Now threads are generally finished, or you can say mostly they are finished. Finished means that you are doing something on the surface of the threads to alter certain characteristics. For example, you want to change the friction of the threads. So you will be applying some finishes which will alter the thread to fabric, thread to metal part of the machines, especially the friction. In some cases, you will be stitching the panels, and the application is outdoor applications. In outdoor application, what happens? You receive a lot of UV lights. So we try to put some UV inhibitors on the thread finish, so that the thread will have better UV resistance. Sometimes the thread is used on fabrics, marine applications. In the marine application, what happens? It has to be hydrophobic, right? So the water may go through the thread. Though fabric may be good, but the thread you have selected is hydrophilic. So you try to give a hydrophobic finish so that it will have anti-wicking properties. So likewise, now there are sometimes you have to apply anti-static finish, because now you are working in an environment where you are highly prone to static charges, high amount of voltage. So there the work garment will be having anti-static finish, and the thread also have anti-static finish. So it depends on the application. So the thread are given some sort of finish, okay, mechanical finish, chemical finish, or a combination of many chemicals. Basically, chemical means a formulation. Okay, formulation means a number of chemicals. Now coming to the different type of finish, one is called the soft finish. And generally, soft finish means basically you don't apply any chemicals except the lubrication. You just dye the yarn if it has to be dyed. In some cases, you will not be dyeing also, and simply apply lubricant. Simply apply lubricant, nothing else, no other chemical. But remember, lubricant means it is not only lubricant. For all the finishes, you must be having one component that is called wetting agent. When you apply finish on your thread, the time involved in applying the finish is limited, because you are passing the thread through a trough, and in the trough there may be a kiss roller, and the kiss roller will apply the finish, and the time involved is very low, and for that you want to spread the finish uniformly on all the surface of the thread. You need to have a wetting agent. So the wetting agent is basically what happens. It has very low surface tension, and when the finish is having low surface tension, when the thread is passing through the trough, it can easily spread and quickly it can spread over the thread, so that every part of the thread is applied finish. So whenever you apply lubricant, it has to lubricant or any type of finish, there should be always a wetting agent. The wetting agent is basically try to spread the finish very quickly. So soft finish is basically nothing but it's only lubricant. It's lubricated. Of course, it must be having some wetting agent. So no other chemical is added. Now coming to the mercerizing is only done for the cotton spun threads. Okay, so in the mercerizing process, what happened? The cotton thread is passing through a caustic solution, which is kept at a particular temperature, and there is a particular concentration. While passing the thread has to be under tension. Thread has to be under tension. So what happened? There is a chemical reaction, and since the thread is under tension, it will improve the strength. At the same time, it improves the luster. Luster means sheen, or you can say glitter. And there is another process called gassing. This is used only for 100% cotton thread or cotton wrapped polyester threads. Cotton wrapped polyester means it's a polyester cotton core spun thread, where polyester is in the core, the polyester filament is in the core, and it is surrounded by the cotton fibers. So what happened? These 100% cotton thread or the cotton covered polyester threads are passed through a flame, very controlled flame, and with the heat, the protruding hairs and loops from the thread surface, they are burnt out. Okay, so that will give the improved luster. They give improved luster. Okay, and glazing is another treatment. This is also done to the 100% cotton and the cotton wrapped with polyester threads. Here, what they do is they have formulation. They mix the starch, wax, and other chemicals. Sometimes they apply upgrading chemicals. Like you must be, using kites, the kite flying thread. So in those days they use cotton, and they apply a lot of glass particles, so that you can break the thread of someone's kite. So it's quite dangerous. So these special chemicals, okay, maybe upgrading type materials they may add. And finally, what they do is after applying this one, they polish it or brush it to get better luster. So this is called glazing. So glazing basically a starch treatment followed by brushing or polishing. And generally they have very high luster. And other materials they can add is the abrading particles. Okay, so the finish may protect the thread from abrasion and enhance the play security during sewing of hard fabrics. So when you try to sew the hard fabrics like tarpaulin and all, in those days, all the threads are made from cotton. So even for stitching the tarpaulins, they are using the cotton threads. So they use heavy cotton threads, and they applied some finishes, abrasion. And what happened that the starch will protect the thread while sewing. Otherwise, what happened, the fabric is very hard. While sewing itself, what happened, because of the abrasion between the thread and the fabric yarns, the thread may break or thread may lose its strength. And there are many other treatments are there. There are hundreds of finishes available. They're all proprietary, and it is not disclosed in public domain. And people are making millions of dollars in developing specialized finishes. So we don't know much about, but broadly we can see the category. One is the acrylic finish, and the acrylic finish is basically they apply acrylic resin onto the thread, and acrylic is is hydrophobic. So in order to improve the water repellency of the threads, they apply this acrylic based finish. So there are different companies are making acrylic finish. So don't think that is only simply acrylic. There are many other components, proprietary items, which is not disclosed. So another is the polytetrafluoroethylene. They are very good, against UV lights, and they are having extremely low surface energy among all the polymers. So they are very hydrophobic. Because they are very hydrophobic, they are very anti-wicking. So like marine application, outdoor applications is awnings, marine applications is sailcloth, ropes, okay, anything you use in the boat and other places, okay. So the marine applications. So there, many times the fabric is in contact with the water. So you need to have, anti-wicking properties. And similarly, the boat is always under the sun. So the fabric receives a lot of UV lights. So to protect the, thread from, UV, one can use the PTFE threads, but they are very costly. Remember, PTFE is now very costly. So for UV protection and the anti-wicking properties, which you need in the case of marine and outdoor applications. Outdoor application also, if there is a rain, what happened? The fabric may be wetted. Our fabric is hydrophobic, but the thread you selected is hydrophilic. Now what happened? Water will go along the passage of the sewing threads. So in the process, it may not be good. Your fabric may be wetted because your sewing thread is hydrophilic. And there are other finishes are there. A combination of thermal and chemical resistance for filters, for switching the filters, which may be used, to filter out particular chemicals. Sometime at room temperature, sometime at elevated temperatures. So there are special formulations available, especially for the protection against thermal and chemical. And there is one finish called Halar finish. This is basically those applications where you deal with a lot of corrosion. So the fabrics also have corrosion resistance, and the application involves higher temperature. So this is specialized formulations. And if you are working on a near transformer, you are electricians working with the transformer or in the places where a lot of you will be exposed to static charges. So you have to use a safety cloth, which is highly conductive. In case charges comes, charges will be dissipated. And for stitching those fabrics, you have to use a thread which is conductive. So the material itself is conductive, or the the thread is given semi-conductive finish. And for the non-wick finish available for military applications, for example, if a soldier deployed in Siachen Glacier, so the temperature is sometime -40, and sometime what happened now, a lot of snow falls, okay, and when you touch the snow due to heat from your hand, it may slightly melt, and on the fabrics, if it's melted, it's temporary, right, and it may wick through the thread. So the thread you're using must be non-wicking. So whatever thread you're using it should be finished with the non-wick finish. That means hydrophobic finish. Even the outer layer we use is also having the hydrophobic. Suppose we're using nylon fabrics. Nylon fabric is basically hydrophilic. But when you apply a film, PTFE film, or you apply polyurethane coating, so the fabric became hydrophobic. But when you join the fabrics using threads, the threads must be non-wicking property. And there are some special finishes are available, especially to take care of the sewing. During sewing with high speeds, especially with the polyester, threads, the threads may be melted or may be forming, beads. So to protect the thread during sewing, the threads are applied with, heat-resistant finish. Now coming to the polyurethane finish, this is also hydrophobic, and they are used for nylon polyester threads like awnings, you must have seen, and boat covers. In all these cases, we want to improve the resistance to UV, right? And polyurethane is also somewhat good for against UV lights, and it also improves the abrasion, and it has a low temperature flux. That means the thermal conductivity also is lower. So a combination of so many things you can get. Coming to the thread packages, most of you have seen domestic sewing machines in your home. There you find this bobbin. The thread is comes in a bobbin. So the length of the thread is hardly some 30-40 meters. Whereas in industrial sewing applications, you need to have large amount of threads, because every time when the thread is out, you have to put the another package, then you have to tie it. It takes more time. So in industrial sewing machines, we don't use these bobbins. Rather, we use other type of bobbins. So the sewing threads is supplied in the form of king spool, cap, and cone. So the size of this cone are maybe around 600 gram to 1 kilograms. So the moment you put, it comes for a day or more than that. Now coming to the size of the thread, size means not about the the sizing of the thread. Sizing means chemical finish, starch, like that. Here sizing means the diameter, the physical dimension of the thread. You can say the thickness, linear density, text of the thread. Okay, that is the meaning here. So the text of thread must be selected based on the weight of the fabric, that is GSM. Apart from that, you may be having a fabric which may be loosely constructed or maybe tightly constructed. If the fabric is tightly constructed, then thread has to be very strong. Otherwise, the thread may break. And fiber also you have to be selected properly. So you have to use high tenacity, high performance fibers when you are stitching a heavy garment. Heavy garment means its GSM is more, and it is if it is a tight garment, it is high. If it is heavy and tight garment, heavy means more GSM. Tight means there is less space between the warp and weft yarn. So especially when you go for a heavy garment with the tight construction, one has to be very careful in selecting the sewing thread text and type of the polymer you use for the thread. And also you have to select the right combination of the needle. So generally you see in this table, you need not mug up this one, just a guideline. You see, this is a guideline. It is available in the public domain. So as the fabric it become heavier, thread also become heavier. You see 16 to 24 tacks to stitch a garment of 65 to 140 GSM. As the garment become heavier, sewing thread also become heavier. There is no point using the heavy thread with the finer GSM. What happens when you use the 120 tacks thread to stitch a fabric of 65 GSM? What happens? These heavy threads will break the fabric yarns. Then it will be useless. Similarly, for a heavy fabrics, we use the finer thread. What happens? When you apply tension on the stitched fabric, the thread will break. Fabric will be intact, thread will break. So there should be a right combination of fabric GSM and thread size. So when you select this particular thread size, you have to select a particular needle size. If you try to use a heavy threads into a small needle, the thread may not go inside the needle eye. Similarly, when you select a large needle size with fine thread, so there will not be much friction between the thread and the needle, and sewing will not be possible, right? Now coming to broadly the general characteristics of threads based on the polymer. Cotton thread, all you know, is a low strength. Elongation is hardly less than 8%, and they have very because of low strength, they are less durable. And the color fastness of the cotton thread is not good like your polyester thread. So there are some cases, outdoor applications. If you use the cotton thread, it will not be good. And the plus point is it has good heat resistance compared to the polyester. Okay, at higher temperature, around up to say 150 degrees centigrade, 200, still it is able to retain its strength. And coming to the biological aspects, they have very poor rot and mildew resistance. So they are very easily biodegradable. Any mildew, moth, rot, they can eat the cotton fibers. Viscosity is slightly better than the cotton in terms of strength, and elongation is almost more or less similar to cotton. You can have a little more elongation because it is manufactured fibers. But the very negative point is it has a low wet modulus. So if you use these threads for some application where water will come to the fabrics, then you can't use the viscose threads. So viscose rayon threads not suitable for application involving wetting of the fabrics, and it gives very high glittering effect, very glitter and lustrous. Polyester thread is one of the most widely used threads. They have high strength, high elongation. In fact, elongation are manipulated during the manufacturing itself. Okay, and they have very good color fastness and a very good abrasion resistance. And the strength is same whether it's wet or dry. Okay, it's able to retain strength, and they have very good UV resistance. Whereas nylon, the cotton and viscose, they don't have good UV resistance. And the negative point is they're very poor against alkali. The resistance against alkali is not good. So if you're using some filter fabrics where you want to filter the alkali, you should not use the polyester fabric, you should not use the polyester thread. Coming to nylon, this also having high strength and elongation, but it has excellent abrasion resistant elastic recovery. This is one of the best material regarding the abrasion resistance and regarding the elastic recovery. No other material can match nylon in terms of abrasion resistance and elastic recovery. And they have a better chemical resistance than polyester. So we have the Farah Aramid thread. The trademark is the Kevlar. Yes. Yes. You want to say something? So Farah Aramid thread is basically Kevlar trade name manufactured by DuPont, and they are one of the material which has very high strength, and they have very good cut resistance. So in a public places, stitching up fabrics, one has to use the cut resistance. Cut resistance is one of the most important thing. So if you go to the bus seat cover and theater seat covers, they have to be stitched with, the Kevlar threads, and there should be some amount of Kevlar material in the fabric itself. And they have low elongation and excellent short-term heat resistance. I think with this I'll wind up. We can go to the Moodle, right?